Good evening and welcome to our Year 6 transition event. My name is Mr. Rowath, I'm the Academy Principal, and together with my Senior Vice Principal, Mr. Pillinger, we're going to take you through some details regarding what goes on at St Anselm's, hopefully answer some questions and queries that you may have. I'm so pleased that as a senior leadership team, we've managed to get out to the primary schools to meet virtually all our Year 6 pupils coming into Year 7 for next year, and they had lots and lots of questions. As parents, carers, you potentially have got some very different questions, and we will hopefully be able to answer those if you still have some after this evening at the end. I would like to start with our school prayer, and this will be something that the students will know off by heart very soon when they come to our school. So we just put our presence in the name of Father, the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Father, pour out your Spirit upon our school and grant us a renewed vision of your glory, so that we may experience your power, be faithful to your word, and consecrate ourselves to your service. We pray that your love may grow among us and your kingdom come. Through Christ our Lord. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Okay, back in September, when again we were hoping to have a normal sort of open evening, which never happened, and we were hoping to have a normal Year 6 transition day. That never happened, sadly, but hopefully this is the last online event we have to do. But I mentioned back then our mission statement, and I've highlighted there in bold just that students are able to achieve their full potential academically, spiritually and socially, and that's something that I want to explore a little bit more deeply, just so that you're aware of what goes on. So from an academic point of view, and with regards to teaching and learning, all our staff are focused 100% on quality first teaching within the classroom that focuses on and meets the needs of all students within that particular class. We have regular assessments. We run 4 cycles of 9 weeks throughout the year, and at the end of each cycle we run formal assessments for the students. You will be told in advance when these are going to happen, and again we appreciate the support that parents give in making sure that the students revise appropriately for these end of cycle assessments, so we can really ascertain what progress that they have made. Inspire is a chance for the students to try something new, and this is where we do all sorts. It could be we've had one where they're all playing ukuleles and learning how to play ukuleles. We've had Inspire classes of karate. We had a group of students digging a trench, as it was in World War I. So lots and lots of different activities that staff do, that staff are passionate about, and that the students get to try. And again, it's just slightly broader curriculum that we offer there for students. Our curriculum model and pathways, this very simply means that we will choose a pathway that is suitable for the student, and a pace that is suitable for the students to make the best progress that they can. In core subjects, so English, Maths, Science and RE, all students will be put into sets, and in addition to that, the humanities subjects, they will be in their sets as well, so history and geography. And then all the other subjects, so the ADT subjects, so food, health, science and DT, performing arts, PE, MFL, ICT, they will all be in mixed ability groups. And we put them into sets once we've ascertained where they are at. We use Key Stage 2 data, whilst appreciating that Year 6s haven't set their sets this time round. We will use the information from primary schools. In addition to that, we will use the CATS test that we do at the start of the year, which again, nothing for the students to be worried about, and nothing that they can do to revise for or anything like that. It's just looking at their innate ability, and that helps us to set them, and in the meantime they're given a temporary timetable whilst this is done. And finally on there, if you could please make sure that your child brings in their English and maths books from primary schools so that we can look at what they've been up to, what standards they've been up to, and we can sort of tailor our academic programme according to what standard they come into our school at. If we look at the ALG cohort, which is our accelerated learning group, this group is put together, and again based on the Key Stage 2 levels and CATs, and it is purely about pace, okay? And certain students can work at a slightly faster pace than others, and we will put those students together in an accelerated learning group, and students will move in and out of this stream dependent on their end of cycle assessments, okay? And I've put down there the last bullet point. There is absolutely no difference to the quality of teaching. We have very high expectations at St Anselm's as well as aspirations, and this is purely, like I said, about the pace at which students learn, and that is how we put our ALG group together. But like I said, people move in and out of that at a regular basis and going on through the years as they go up through the school as well. From a spiritual point of view, and how we try and get the kids to fulfill their potential here, all students will embark on Faith in Action Award, in which they look at different aspects that they can complete. It's a little bit like a Duke of Edinburgh, actually, and one of the aspects is doing voluntary work, and this is where they will get involved in different projects within school. It may be that they choose to do some voluntary work at home within the local community, but this is a way of developing their spiritual potential. Liturgy, just going back, sorry sir, to the previous slide. So liturgy, this is, I appreciate and fully appreciate that not everyone that is coming into year 7 is of the Catholic faith, but you have signed up to be sympathetic to our Catholic ethos, and the expectation is that everyone does take part in liturgical daily acts of worship, as well as whole school masses and house masses and retreats and services, which is a major part of our school. And the gospel values is what underpins St Anselm's and what we expect students to follow, and it is something that staff will deliver through their lessons, through the way that they respect one another, and the students have mutual respect for each other and also respect for their environment as well. And that leads us on to one of our gospel values, which is charity, of which there are more than one meaning. And so it's not just charitable work that we do a lot of at St Anselm's, but also it's showing that sign of compassion. And that again brings me back to the point of respect for each other. Okay, and that is a big thing that makes and really sets us apart from other schools, and makes us very different in that we are like a very big family, and we expect students to do their very best, okay, and that is academically, spiritually and socially to help fulfill their potential. As long as students try their best, then we are more than happy, okay, but we will not accept mediocrity, and like I said, we have high expectations and standards. And then from a social point of view, we are a happy place, and that again is down to the mutual respect that students have for each other. Does this mean that kids don't fall out with each other? Of course it doesn't, and it's part of growing up and life lessons and how you deal with that, and things you can do in future, and that's where our pastoral team is very, very strong in helping and giving that support as to how students find their way through growing up, basically, and how we prepare them for the wider world when they leave school. Relationship with adults, again, there is that mutual respect, and we will treat all students with respect and expect the same in return. From a safety point of view, this is paramount for us, and the safeguarding is at the very top of our list. We have 12 DSLs on site, and there are lots of different people that students can talk to with regards if they have any safeguarding issues, and how we will deal with that, and obviously we will be in constant contact with you as parents and carers with regards to that. Care, guidance and support. Again, we have good communication lines. We are quick to get in contact with home if we have concerns or queries, and again, if you have queries and concerns that you need to raise with us, then please don't hesitate to do so and contact the House Office, and we will deal with those queries and questions as quickly as we can. We will come to a little bit later how you can do that, but there will also be details on student planners as well as on the website as to how to get in touch with us. And that leads me on to the house structure, and this is really at the core of what we do at school. So it's 5 mini houses within our big family, and it does help to create that sense of community, and they are smaller families, if you like, within our large family. And we have within our houses smaller tutor groups, which means you have helped to create better relationships. We have a tutor time, half an hour every single day, and we run vertical tutor groups where we will have year 7s sat with year 8s, 9s and 10s, and it works really well. The 10s are there and look after the younger students, and the youngsters feel free that they can talk and ask all the questions that they have for the older students whilst they're in their tutor time. It gives us that clarity within the houses who is responsible for each child in school. So each head of house will have approximately 250 students to look after, and then yes, I've put down there the last point is that sometimes year 7 students believe that because they're in a certain house, Aquinas for example, that they only get to study maths and science because those are the subjects that are linked to that house. That is not the case. Okay, all students will study all subjects. It just so happens that maths and science sit in Aquinas, as MFL, English, ICT sit in Marici, and so on and so forth. So panic not if you think, oh no, I'm going to be in this house, I'm only going to do maths and science. That is not the case. So moving on, and perhaps looking at our heads of house, who would in normal circumstances be here in the flesh, as we would do a proper face-to-face live event, but we have done a second best, so we have pictures here of our heads of house. So Mr. Withy, Vice Principal and Head of House for Aquinas, Miss Carney for Bosco, Miss Penfold for Marici, Mr. Locke for Stein, and Mr. Costa is our Head of Sixth Form, which is our 5th house, and that is named after St Gregory. So they are key players in the way that the school operates, alongside Mr. Pillinger, my Senior Vice Principal, but perhaps even more importantly than all of us on the senior leadership team are our house managers, and they are quintessential to the success of the school, and they are solely devoted to the pastoral care of the students. Okay, none of those people you can see are teachers. None of them have a teaching timetable, and 100% of their job is to make sure that the students feel safe, that they're happy, and they are there to help guide and support and have a word with if they've stepped out of line. Of course, that's all part and parcel, but they do a superb job, and they would be your first port of call really, perhaps with the form tutor if you were to get in touch with school. So you've got Miss Robertson there for Aquinas, and Miss Barrow for Bosco, Miss Butcher for Marici, Miss Green for Stein, and Mrs. Dunn you won't have contact with at this moment in time, but in the sixth form they would. Looking at some other very important people within the school, and that is the SEN department, and our Senko, who's Miss Lawrence Hearn, and the Deputy Senko is Miss Elaine Moore, and they again are readily available for parents to get in contact with. And if you have, we have some transition events happening for some of our more vulnerable students, and again I know that the SEN team have been in contact with those parents as well. But again, our student support centre is very readily available for any student that requires additional support with their learning within school. Moving on to timings of the day, and this is really just for information. I'm not going to go through it. It's on the website. It will be in students' planners, but really just as parents to note that on a Friday we finish at 2:35, and transport wise, the usual school buses don't run on the Friday, and so students who are catching a normal school bus, the arrangements for Friday is that they will catch a bus down to the bus stop at Canterbury bus station, and then catch their bus home to Whitstable, Herne Bay, wherever it may be from there. If your child is coming from Ashford, then what the Ashford students tend to do is actually stay on site and just catch their normal bus at 3:30. Moving on from times of the day, just a couple of dates there for September, and that is to note this: the first day for Year 7 students is Thursday the 2nd of September. And on that day, I mentioned and talked about CATS tests at the start of this talk, and they will carry those CATS tests out on that day. We will hopefully be able to get them on a tour of the school with the other tutees in their particular tutor group. So they'll meet the other tutees. They'll obviously know by that time what house they're in. And we have found out that we will have to do some mass testing. The DfE have sent us some preliminary information for September. So on that day, we will be looking to do some lateral flow tests for the students, and we will be seeking your consent, which will come out before the end of term. So please do respond to that. Again, it's not compulsory, but it's fully advised, and we had a virtual 100% take up from the rest of the school when we did it back in December. And then on the Friday we've got the whole school in, where again they'll meet the rest of their tutor group on that Friday, on the 3rd of September. And then moving on to looking at contact, and I mentioned earlier about how to, and again this is all on the website as well, but there you've got those key members of the house teams. So if you were going to get in contact with Miss Robertson for Aquinas, then it would be d.robertson@stanselm.org.uk, and that is probably the best way to contact us. You can of course leave messages on the school phone, but that is probably the quickest way, is probably by email. Now at this point I'm going to hand over to Mr. Pillinger, my Senior Vice Principal, who's going to take you through some further facts and information about the school, and also take you through how to access a lot of things on the website.
Thank you, Mr. Ruff, and welcome. Sorry, my speakers are on. Welcome all to, as Mr. Ruff said, my name is Mr. Pillinger. I'm the Senior Vice Principal here at St Anselm's, and really it's my chance to take you through some of the logistical aspects of around Year 7 that will be very different to primary school. And I'm going to start with our school website. So on our school website, you can find the term dates, and I'll run a live demonstration in a second regarding that. But I just wanted to pay attention again to a couple of those term dates that Mr. Ruff just mentioned, just because it may be different to where your son or daughter, if you've got another sibling, is at a primary school. So the Kent official date start of term is Wednesday the 1st of September. We are in fact closed on that day for staff training. And then our term, as Mr. Ruff mentioned, starts on Thursday the 2nd of September, with only Year 7 and Year 12 in, with the rest of the school coming in on Friday the 3rd of September. So I'm now going to take us to our school website, where the bulk of our information is held, and I'm going to talk us through how to get there. In terms of into a browser, into any browser, it will work from ISO or any browser at all. And then if you simply type St Anselm's, our web address is displayed there, stanselmscanterbury.org.uk, and then that will load up our live web page. We use this as our primary way of disseminating most of our information, both to parents and students. So if I take uniform, for example, and the students, most of the information you will need around logistics at the school are located under students and parents section here. So if I take uniform, You will then outline what the school uniform expectations are, both for boys and girls, and again it will go into coats and jackets, what is appropriate footwear. It's probably pertinent at this point to mention that we don't allow trainers. Is normal footwear within school, and there has to be some form of leather, some form of shoe. And you can see there I've got some examples of appropriate footwear and not appropriate footwear. Certainly no kind of shoe with a sports logo is accepted. Again, where you can purchase uniform is below here, and then we go into PE kit and jewellery and makeup in some rules and regulations around that for the students located there. If I move back up into students and then school equipment, the standard school equipment that we wish for students to have is there in the essential, a standard list of equipment I think in most schools settings, but also there is a list of desirable equipment that it may be useful to have, and it is pertinent that we will be checking on this equipment in terms of making sure students are ready to learn at the start of every lesson, and that there isn't a delay, and that goes back to really our level of high standards into making sure that we really are ready to learn from day one. In terms of, as Mr. Ralph mentioned earlier, our transition event, we really are disappointed that we can't have students on site. We were really hoping, and on our trips around to see all of those primary schools, we were hoping to see those students on site, be able to give them. But what we have tried to do is give them the best welcome we possibly can virtually, and we've done that for a number of different aspects on our website. So in order to get to there, if you go to students and then Year 6 transition event 2021, you'll then find that takes you to a transition page. I'll speak a little bit later about appointments with tutors, because they're coming up in next week, and how we will virtually meet your tutor, but I'll speak a little bit later about that. But in terms of here, you've got a academy principals welcome, and it'd be quite nice for you to sit down with your son or daughter to be able to go through that. Details of the first day and any frequently asked questions, and also we've managed to put together a virtual tour of the school, and also an induction welcome booklet, which hopefully will have any other information and a few little tasks in there as well to complete. So hopefully all of that is there on our website ready to go. Again, just to reiterate, students, Year 6 transition event 2021, and that will get us to that section. I'm now going to take us back to a PowerPoint for just a few more logistical aspects regarding questions that we normally receive. So the first one is around mobile phones and digital devices, and that is, are students allowed them on site? They are allowed them on site, but they must be kept out of sight at all times. The exceptions to that is when they are integral in terms of the lesson and the teacher wishes to use them within the lesson. A question that we get asked, how do parents get in touch with their child? That is through the school office or the house office, directed through there, and then we will certainly pass on any messages that you have for your children. And equally, what happens if a student needs to get hold of a parent? We will do that vice versa, and they will go to the house office and they'll be allowed to phone, or we'll pass that message on depending on what that message is. So again, it's really important that we know that from the off. Mr. Ruff spoke about buses earlier, and I won't spend too much time labouring buses, but it is important to relieve any fears I feel around buses. That we're very fortunate here at St Anselm's that we have a park and ride directly next to us in terms of our own dedicated bus lane as well, and that bus lane will hold up to around about 8 or 10 buses in the evening. So that is really useful in terms of students not being able to get off at the wrong stop, because you are effectively coming into the school gates, and within 10 yards or so you'll be straight into the school gates and straight on to the buses. And that also happens the same at the end of the day, and students will line up in their bus lines in their year group areas, and then a member of SLT will radio when the bus arrives, and then that member of SLT will walk that bus line to the correct bus. So again, it avoids any confusion or any worry around buses. Again, Mr. Ralph spoke briefly about Friday, but it is a slightly different format on a Friday, and therefore, and that format on a Friday is slightly different from 2:35 until 3:30, where students can wait on site if they are going onto a bus onto Ashford, or they can go home as normal at 2:35. If you are still not yet to apply for a bus pass, or your student or your child wishes to have a bus pass, then please follow that link, and this link will be sent to you tomorrow morning, the website link regarding buses. And again, it's important to apply quickly. I believe the cut-off is the 1st of August in order to be able to get bus passes ready for school for the 1st of September. Parent pay, some of you may use this already at primary schools, but if you don't, it's our cashless system to pay for food within the school, and also it's our system to pay for any non-uniform days or any trips that we have or any other events in the school. And more details will follow regarding parent pay in terms of login details closer to the start of term. But just so you're aware, it is fingerprint technology, so children don't need to carry a card or any kind of other device. It's simply putting their fingerprint on a reader, and that will link them to their name and their account, and you can top up their account as and when you feel you wish to via the website. And we serve breakfast, break and lunchtime snacks, and equally lunchtime will be in 2 sittings, and year 7 will be on the first sitting, and it means they will sit for lunch between 12:55 and 1:25. So a key point and a key message to get out this evening is that hopefully we've allowed to answer most questions tonight from this evening in terms of this PowerPoint, but also we'll take some questions at the end. But it's really important for children to be able to put a name to a face, and that first person they will see on Thursday the 2nd of September will be their form tutor. And to alleviate some of those fears or some of those anxieties around that, we've decided that next Tuesday will be a Meet Your Tutor evening, and that will be a chance for both yourself as parents and carers, and also for the students themselves to be able to meet your tutor. It'll be a 10-minute appointment, very much like a virtual parents evening, but it will allow you to meet your tutor, a brief introduction to who they are and in where you'll be located and what your tutor room will be like, etc., and also a chance to ask any further questions that you may have. In terms of how you go about booking that, again, through our website, I'm just going to go through that now. So back to our school website, back to that year 6 transition event page. And you'll notice here, again, the date is outlined here, it'll be Tuesday. And then we have school cloud appointments, so Tuesday the 13th. And then you've got school cloud appointments booking system here. If you click on there, that will take you directly to our school cloud site, which is our virtual parents evening site. And then you simply need to enter your details as the parent or carer. So your title, your first name, your surname, and your email address. And then your student's details. So your son or daughter's details in terms of first name, surname, and then date of birth. And then click on login. Once you log in, it will simply give you a chance. It will say year 6-7 transition event, and then it will give you a time slot available between 3:30 and 5. That event goes live in 1 minute time, 8 o'clock on the dot today. So you can do that directly after this meeting. Appointments are on a first come, first served basis. So if, for example, 4 o'clock is grayed out, it means that another parent in another year 7 pupil, year 6 pupil is going to be using that slot to meet their tutor for those 10 minutes. But there should be ample time for all of you to be able to meet your tutors between 3:30 and 5 next Tuesday. So we are now at the end where we are going to take some question and answers. I'm going to pass you back to Mr. Roth, who's going to lead on that. For those of you who haven't used Microsoft Live Event before, somewhere on your screen, if you're on a laptop or computer, it'll be in the top right. If you're on a phone, you may need to swipe for it, but there will be a little symbol that shows 2 question marks, speech bubbles, and that's a question and answer board. And then on the question and answer board, we'll be able to publish questions for you. So please type them in now, and we'll aim to answer them live this evening. Mr. Rowe, you're back live.
Yep, thank you. And I hope you found this evening informative and useful. And like Mr. Pillinger said, we will look at some questions that have come through and look to answer them.
No, you're not. No, you're not. It's fine.
So the first question, what is a DSL? It's a designated safeguarding lead. So that is what those 12 people within school, they've been trained in what they are meant to do in the event of a safeguarding issue. So that's what a DSL is. That's one question come through.
The next question we've got, Mr. Roth, is how are the ability groups labelled within settings? And I can probably answer that one in terms of, we have a parallel bands within school. So we have an accelerated group at the top, as Mr. Roth described, and then we have 3 identical parallel bands. So one of the bands would be called B band, so that would be set 1. B1 would be set 1, B2 set 2, and B3 set 3. And again, exactly the same on the other parallel side of set 1, 2, and 3 for C band as well. The next question, Mr. Rover, are children given lockers?
No, we haven't got the space basically for 1,200 lockers, so they need to plan carefully, and yes, there will be days when they do have PE and they'll probably have a separate bag for their PE kit, but unfortunately we don't have the space on site for everyone to have an individual locker.
The next question is, what food or drink is served at break or lunch times?
Yeah, we've got a break time. They tend to be more snacks, so slices of pizzas, paninis, that type of thing. Lunch times, we serve a hot meal. So on a Wednesday, for example, we have a roast, and we have a set menu that goes over about 3 weeks, which then rotates through that. So it's a very healthy lunch menu that the kids have access to, and you know, fresh fruit as well as desserts are all available as well.
Lovely, thank you. Are we currently offering after school activities for when year 7 start, and will they move freely around the school site, or will they still be in bubbles?
Yeah, no, very good question. And again, we have had some guidance from the DfE already. That will be firmed up on the 19th, but I think it's safe to say that what we've been given to date is that it will be the end of bubbles. So year 7s will be mixing with 8s and 9s on their own playground, their own social area at break and lunch times. Within lessons, obviously they remain as year 7s, and then we are able to put back into operation our vertical tutor groups that I talked about earlier. At the moment, we still have our tutor groups, but they are having to be horizontal. So a tutor group is just made up of year 7 students in Bosco, for example. So we'll be able to revert back to what works particularly well with the vertical tutoring.
Lovely, thank you. The next question is, when will we hear regarding summer school?
Yes, we've got, I think they are finalising this Friday. We've had a few parents that have wanted to switch weeks, and therefore the people organising the summer school are just finalising numbers for the 2 weeks that we have on offer, and then you should hear at some point next week as to the finer details regarding pickups, drop-offs. I do know that the expectation is that they bring a packed lunch, with the exception of free school meal students, that we will provide their lunch for them, and the timings off the top of my head, I think we are running from 10 till 3, but there is the opportunity for a breakfast drop-off for those parents that need to get to work earlier than that. But that information I think has already gone out, so it'll be confirmed next week, and you'll have some more information next week ready for August.
Lovely. A couple of questions around computer rooms. Are there computer rooms, and are there computers in the school?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a little bit different to primary school. We're obviously a much bigger setting here, and we have, off the top of my head, I think it's about 8 computer suites, which are used within all subject areas actually, and so students will have on their curriculum time ICT, where actually they study computing and computer science in year 7 and 8 and 9, and then as we move up through the school, they will take their options in year 9, where they can choose to take computing as a GCSE, and then at level 3, so in the sixth form, there is the option of the ICT BTEC award, which is very popular within schools. So lots of computers and lots of chance for them to use them as well.
Yeah, the next question is coming, and I do apologise for this. I think there was a typo on one of our websites regarding, I can clarify that the evening for meeting tutors is Tuesday the 13th of July. I've checked the booking system, that is correct, but just to clarify for that, I believe on one of the slides it may have had the wrong date, so apologies for that, but it is Tuesday the 13th of July, and the booking system is taking bookings for that date, I can see already. Can we show again how to book appointments? I certainly can. I can run that live now. I will go straight back on to our school website. So if I can just you should be able to see my screen hopefully again now. And again, type in the school website in, going to student section, year 6 transition event. Again, outlining that date is Tuesday the 13th of July, and then simply by clicking on that appointment system there, click here, that will take you directly to our booking. Apologies, I'm logged in as a teacher there, but as a parent login, it will take you into this screen where you will put your details in the top box. So your title, first name, surname as a parent or carer, and your email address, and then the child's first name, surname, and their date of birth, and then log in. As soon as you've done that, the next screen will pop up and say, do you want to book an appointment? You simply click on that, and it will allow you what time is available for your tutors. Mr. Ruff, we've got a question regarding PE, and what sports do we cover in PE?
Yeah, we do a whole range of sports. They will do dance, they will do gymnastics, they will do rugby, football, netball, they will do tennis, they'll do athletics, they'll do cricket, they'll do trampolining, they will do health and fitness. So a whole range of sports, of which most of the sports I've just talked about, we run clubs for, so lunchtime activities, as well as teams where we compete against other schools within the district as well. So lots for them to get involved in. I see another question here about the children will be met off the school bus on the first day. They will all pull into our bus stop at the park and ride, and then we will be directing them as to where they've got to go from there.
The next question is, are lunch menus published anywhere? The lunch menus are published, and there are 2 ways you can see those lunch menus. One is via our website under school dinners, and the other is via Parent Pay, so where you go to load money onto that site. Again, the menu is outlined. I believe it's a 3-week rolling menu that they operate, and it changes termly, so that they can be located there. And another question regarding free school meals, again, and for those in receipt of free school meals, we will be in contact with you regarding any other information that we require, but also that is exactly the same for collecting a free school meal. The students will pay with their fingerprint, exactly the same as anyone else in the school, and money is automatically loaded onto their account each day in receipt of those free school meals.
Got a question here about form rooms. Do they have form rooms? Yes, they do. And when they receive their timetables in September, it will denote on there what subject they have, the initials of the teacher, as well as the room that it will be in. But their form room will be the same every day for that half-hour tutor time.
We've got another question regarding setting and the accelerated band here. A couple that relate to that. One asks if children will be put straight into sets on day 1, and the other asks, how will we know if my child is in the accelerated band? Yep,
we will contact parents when we do our setting, and so at that point you will ascertain whether your child is in the accelerated group, and then day 1 they will do their CATS tests, and then it'll be a couple of weeks probably where they'll be on a temporary timetable while we analyse the data and then put the students into appropriate sets, at which point they will be given new timetables and they will start those sets, and that is when we will contact parents about whether they are in the accelerated learning group. And equally, I mentioned about moving in and out of the accelerated learning group. Obviously, students can move in and out of the different sets as well, dependent on their performance in their assessments.
Another question that I'll be able to answer is, when will students receive their school tie? That will be on the first day when they arrive, and they will be given their house tie on the first day when they arrive. Please don't worry if you can't tie it. That is one of the tasks that we get to grips with quite quickly. Next question is regarding toilets, Mr. Ruff. Are they in year groups, and are they located around the premises, etc.?
Yes, this is what I call a COVID keep. We had to change our toilet system and have them dedicated to particular year groups to ensure there was no crossing of bubbles, and it's worked very well, and we're actually going to keep those. So year 7 toilets are located in D block, which is very close to the playground that they are on for their social time, and it's the block which houses houses 4 of our computer suites. So we will show them where these are on the tour on the first day.
Another question relating to B and C band, and are there any difference in abilities? And the answer to that is no, they are directly parallel banded, and therefore B1 will be exactly the same ability as C1. A question, after school clubs that are available to students, Mr. Ruff?
Yep, I've mentioned sports clubs, and they, to be honest, are the main after school clubs, and that's when obviously we do the fixtures with the other schools as well. There are other clubs. In the main, they happen at lunchtime. The only one that potentially could be after school is when students are doing Duke of Edinburgh, and they often do sessions after school in preparation for expeditions that are going out at weekends and over holiday time. But in the main, clubs will happen at lunchtime, and the reason for that is that we have a significant number of students who catch buses at the end of the day.
The next question is regarding homework, and the question was, is all homework set online, and also is there a place in school where students can do homework?
Yes, we have a homework club, and that again, students will be informed in September as to where that will be for them. Regarding online, we again, on the back of COVID and the pandemic, there is a blended approach where there'll be a lot set in their books, and there'll also be some set on Teams, on Microsoft Teams, but again, they will all be shown how to access this when they get to school and how to access their 365 accounts in September. So if they're a little bit unsure as to how to access things online, then please allay any fears. We will train them when they get to us.
Another question, is there an opportunity to talk with the Senko before the start of term?
Yeah, absolutely. And the names are on the PowerPoint. So again, and in fact, they're on the website as well. So please, just as I said regarding contacting someone, if you want to get hold of Miss Lawrence Hearn, then just d.lawrencehearn@stanselm.org.uk will get through to her. And yes, by all means, please do if you feel the need to speak to them before September.
Another question is, when will people receive their timetables? Again, the answer to that question is that will be on day 1 as well. So when students are in, they will receive a timetable. That may not be their final timetable, because if you can appreciate, we will CATS test them and then reissue them, but it'll certainly be the one that they will follow for the first week and predominantly thereafter. So but their timetable and how to read it, again, we will go through on day 1 to ensure they know where their rooms are, and to ensure they understand we operate a 2-week timetable, so a week 1 and a week 2 system.
There's a question here about transition week still go ahead, week commencing 2nd of August. If Miss Lawrence will be in contact with students with regards to that. Okay, again, we are just sifting through the DfE guidance with regards to that. Obviously, the summer school is still going ahead, and parents can drop off, but you won't be allowed in school. We will meet students at the main reception for that summer school.
Yep, and another question, there's a couple of questions regarding taxis for students that get taxis to school. Where will they drop off and pick up? We have a dedicated taxi drop off and pick off in the top car park. So that's this will be the senior playground on the old Dover Road. And again, taxis will know where that is. They will be met and they are supervised by staff onto and off of taxis, both in the morning and in the evening. And that's the same that goes for Friday. I believe there's a question in there about Friday as well regarding that. I'm going to take the last couple of questions, and again, I'm hoping that the frequently asked questions PowerPoint, the video on the website will allay some of these as well. But we'll take the last couple of questions now. We're just almost coming to an end. Will there be teachers all around the school, Mr. Ruff, in case students struggle to find their classes?
100%, and that is probably one of the biggest fears of students. And I've had lots of year sixes in primary school go, what happens if we get lost? It's safe to assume that some students will get lost. It's a big place, it's a big site, but we have maps up around the school. There'll be a map in their planner, and I say to the students that you can ask anyone, be it a member of staff or be it a student, and they will point you in the right direction of your room. And no, they won't get into trouble if they're late for the lesson because they've been lost. Maybe 5-6 weeks in, we might be having words as to why they're still getting lost, but in the first instance, it's all part and parcel of transition, and we fully accept that sometimes they get lost, but plenty of people around, and at the end of their break and lunchtime, there'll always be members of staff on the playground, and that's the time, again, just sort of reiterate to your child that, you know, before they leave the playground, they need to have looked at their timetable to ascertain where they're going next, and if they're not sure, then you've got staff right there that can help them.
And if you're dropping a child off by car, where do you drop them?
Yeah, that's again a good question. We have got two secondary schools on the old Dover Road and a further 2 schools within a half mile of it. So as you can imagine, at school time, the old Dover Road is pretty busy. So given a choice, then use the public transport. And if you have to bring them by car, it's not a problem. Parents have access to the park and ride for free, and you get 15 minutes in which to drop off, and then you can leave straight away, straight out of the park and ride, and that happens in the morning and the afternoon, and it works well actually. We have lots of parents using that facility, but I could please just ask that you don't park in the bus lane, because that creates chaos for us when all the buses are coming. So please do, if you are driving, use the park and ride.
Thank you, Mr. Another question about summer school for those students attending summer school. Is uniform required? The answer to that is no.
Yeah, no uniform required.
And we'll take the last 2 questions. In September, how soon does homework start?
Well, it's in essence, it will start straight away. So as soon as lessons start, and students will be given or will be shown a sort of a homework expectations. I've told all the students that I've seen in primary school that I know, and most of them seem to have had a similar sort of experience, in that they get a piece of homework for the week for them to do over a period of time. They will still have a period of time to complete homework, but they will have 2 or 3 homeworks per day. OK, so it's again, no member of staff will set a piece of homework on a Monday and expect it in for the Tuesday. So that is you know, an unrealistic expectation, especially with, you know, students who've got clubs that they go to outside of school, etc. But homework, hour to an hour and a half. And again, that's when some students decide to make good use of the homework club at lunchtimes. But again, it's I would advise you that your child does them as they are set and not save them up for the weekend, because that will lead to something being missed or a deadline being missed for it to be handed in.
One of the other questions are if there is an issue with you accessing the booking system for those tutor meetings, or if you haven't got access to be able to get onto that tutor booking system, please do email office@st-anselms.org.uk. Someone will definitely pick that up tomorrow, and we will ensure that those tutor meetings are either booked on your behalf, or we'll make sure you can access the system. So if there is an issue, I can see they're coming in thick and fast. I believe we've got 46 already booked in on the system as I'm looking at it live now. So therefore it is up and working. And again, that will be Tuesday the 13th of July from 3:30 to 5 o'clock. That brings us to the conclusion, Mr. Roth, of our questions.
Okay, there are a couple of questions that we will try and get back to you in private if you like. But again, thank you all for coming tonight. And again, I hope we've answered lots of your questions and queries. Certainly looking forward to seeing your children in September. And just there was one final one that just sort of jumped out at me. Do we walk our child into school on the first day? The answer is no. Okay, it's this is part of the bigger transition, if you like, where you will just leave them at the gate and they will come in, and we will look after them from there on. Okay, thank you again. And again, any questions, queries, you know how to contact us, and please don't hesitate to do so.